All right, we're here with Marianne Williamson, the person who put all of this together, Sister Giant. And I got to tell you, Marianne, of all the places I've spoken, I'm not sure I've ever had as good a reception and as lively and energetic a crowd. You know, I was one of the first to speak this morning, and usually when you're first to speak, there's not that many people. The place was packed already, and that's got everything to do with the crowd that you have built up here. So first, tell everybody what it is. Okay, then we'll talk about how you did this.
It's just a conference that we do when I feel like it. And there are also thousands on live stream, so we want to remember those people as well. And 48 states were represented in 26 countries, which was great. I've long been interested in the intersection of spirituality and politics. I wrote a book a while ago, Healing the Soul of America, fascinated by Gandhi and King. You know, the two greatest political lights of the 20th century did not run for office, and King had visited India, took the principles, studied the principles of nonviolence as articulated by Gandhi, and applied them to the struggle for civil rights in the United States in the 1960s. So there's no wheel to reinvent here. This philosophy is so powerful, and obviously both men were profoundly successful in political terms. So I've always been fascinated by this, and I've always been a social activist. I've always been interested in politics. But particularly over the last few years, I've been disappointed, or at least somewhat concerned about the fact that so many of the people represented here have taken a rather apolitical. It's a group which, while it is tremendously influential on the culture, mindfulness, very profoundly instrumental in changing the medical paradigm to something holistic and integrative, great cultural influence, but has tended to be kind of apolitical, although I saw in my own experience they're not when they see something that seems to be an alternative. And so bringing this crowd to politics and activism has always been an interest of mine, particularly among women, but not just among women today, because it's an all-hands-on-deck type of moment. And so when the election happened, you know, and you've spoken before at a Sister Giant, Bernie had been, but this time I just felt with the election, we must gather. And I think that's something Americans are feeling. There are many conferences, there are many projects, there are many initiatives. I just feel we all need to do something. It doesn't even matter so much what it is, do something. You know, people are looking for an action plan, but I think action is the action plan.
Right, and in fact, that's what I talk about all the time on the show, is that activism is more important than any of the electoral actions that we take. The general election is the least important. Primaries are the second most important. Activism is the most important. We didn't get civil rights because of Lyndon Johnson. We got it because of MLK. We didn't get women's rights because of Woodrow Wilson. We got it because of the suffragette movement.
But you know, with this crowd, you got to be careful with that, because that can be used by the mind as a subtle justification for staying out of electoral politics. And so I think it's both and on all of these things right now. And one of the things that's exciting for me about these conferences is they meet when Pramila Jayapal was here. So they meet you, because people tend to be, there are no good media people out there. There are no good politicians out there, to actually meet the kind of people that they just didn't maybe know existed, because this hasn't been their world. But that includes electoral politics for this one.
Of course. And so that's why I helped to set up Justice Democrats.
I know. I'm not saying that you don't know that. I'm just saying this crowd sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is you want to build momentum through activism, carry it through in the primaries, and then culminate it in the general election.
Listen, I'm hoping some of these people, you know, there are people here who might be among your Justice Democrats. You know, after you were with us, I don't know if you were here for the media panel. But
I saw it upstairs, some of it, yes.
So there was this one woman who told me yesterday that she is thinking of running for Congress in Ohio. And then she stood up and asked a question in the media panel about the money at the border control agents and the defense contractors who were involved in some really nefarious things going on with some of that. And I said, my glasses aren't on, but after she asked this very intelligent question, I said, you know, my glasses aren't on, but are you the woman who said yesterday that you were thinking of running for Congress in Ohio? And she said, yes. And she was standing up, and the whole room stood up. I said, if you were looking for a sign. So I'm hoping that there will be some people among this group. There's some very sophisticated people here who are looking for just the kind of thing. So I know Young Turks, not that you need it, but you'll get more eyeballs. But I think your Justice Democrats might get more.
Absolutely. I saw you say that upstairs, and then I ran into her, and so we're already actualizing it. And so one more thing. How did you build this? I mean, you call it Sister Giant, and it's true to its name. It is gigantic. So And as I said, it's the most feverish audience I think I've ever seen in terms of the energy. How did you build this?
I've been at this for over 30 years, my career. I've been around for a long time. There's no, and you know this from your own career, there's no magic formula. People try to do it these days with fancy magical marketing. You build a career by being there and being steady and staying with it. People know that.
I understand completely, because I think, as I said in the talk, you build miracles in my worldview step by step.
Working hard.
Yeah.
And people can smell it. They can feel it.
And when you're authentic, then it resonates, and more people come. And in your sphere, you're as authentic as it gets, and they love you for it. So thank you for putting this together.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne.